Good evening. It's 6 o'clock and I will now officially call this meeting to order. Good evening and welcome to the April 21st, 2025 meeting of the Oconee Planning Commission. We are a recommending body to the Oconee Board of Commissioners. Decisions that are made here tonight on rezoning requests and other issues will be forwarded to the Board of Commissioners for a final action. Tonight's agenda and sign-up sheet is in the back, and I saw a few people taking advantage of it. If you want to catch it now, that'd be okay. We will have an opportunity to speak either way. The Oconee Planning Department staff is going to make a presentation of the zoning request and their recommendations. Then I will open it up to public input by inviting the petitioner or the petitioner's representative up. I will continue the public input from any group or representative of individuals wanting to speak in favor of the request. I'm hoping that period lasts about 20 minutes total. Then I'll open it up to anybody that wants to make any comments in opposition to the request. Again, keep that to about 20 minutes. Also, the petitioner or the petitioner's representative will be allowed to an opportunity to respond or clarify if time remains in that 20-minute period. The public input session will be closed after that, and the Planning Commission will discuss the request and may ask questions of the Planning Department and or the petitioner. Upon motion and a second, after any discussion of the motion, the Planning Commission will vote on the motion, and the Commission may elect to approve or slightly modify and or deny the motion. What we ask of you is for the benefit of those present, and we often have people watching online, all comments should be made into the mic up at the front and at the podium. Upon approaching the podium, please state your name, your home address. Direct any comments that you have to the Planning Commission. Your comments are just to give us a better understanding. So address your comments to us and not to others in the audience. When there are multiple speakers, if you agree with the last one, you can say ditto and then open it up to any other issues that you'd like to address. That way, there's more time for everyone to be heard. And we ask the audience to extend the courtesy of not applauding or commenting from their seats on any of the speakers. And with that, I will ask my colleagues up here. They've had a chance to look at the minutes from last meeting, and would they help me out with any typos or corrections that are necessary? Okay. Looking like there's nothing to be done with that. I need a motion to approve, please. Motion to approve. All right, Chris?
A second.
Is that okay? Got it. All right, so I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from last meeting. All in favor, please raise your right hand. All right, thank you. And with that, I will ask Mr. Webb to make the first presentation, please.
Good evening, Chairman and Planning Commissioners. The first and only agenda item tonight is P25-0015. This is a request to rezone approximately 48.96 acres from agricultural to agricultural residential. It's located on Barnett Shoals Road. It is currently zoned agricultural and is within the country estates land use category for the future development map. Again, request to rezone 48.96 acres from AG to AR. When staff looked at this application, we saw that the country estates comprehensive plan designation recommended the AR3 zone for this property, with approximate densities raising from 3 to 4 acres per unit. Basically a 3-acre lot size minimum. You see there, this is the currently recorded plat. Just a couple of years ago, they created this parcel. And this is the proposed concept plan, which you see has several larger lots in the back as well as 2-acre lots towards the front of the property. These are the architectural images submitted by the applicant. And the staff's recommendation on this is to recommend approval of an AR3 zone, but not an AR zone that coincides with the comprehensive plan. We have 3 standard conditions, and we added a 4th condition that stormwater ponds shall be placed on a separate utility of the lot, or lots having a minimum road frontage of 40 feet. And also number 5, a preliminary plat shall be submitted for review indicating all lots meet the minimum requirements of the AR3 zoning district, being 3-acre lots. And the preliminary plat submission shall be in lieu of a revised concept plan to meet the requirements of section 1206.05 D2. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions the Planning Commission has.
Thank you. So the petitioner's representative, I think, is Frank Pittman. Call him up.
Good evening. My name is Frank Pittman. I live at 1400 Saxon Road in Watkinsville. I'm here representing the property owner, Mr. Blake Underwood, who is also here tonight. As Mr. Webb mentioned, the request is to rezone roughly 49 acres from its existing ag zoning to an AR zoning to allow for a maximum of 12 lots. As Mr. Webb mentioned, we are in Country Estates. Country Estates says that subdivision densities would range from 3 to 4 acres per dwelling unit. Our density, as shown, is 4.08 acres per dwelling unit. So we do meet that as far as density goes. We're asking for an AR instead of an AR3 for a couple reasons. Number one, there is no other AR3 zonings in that area. If you as you saw on the zoning map, we're right across the road from an AR zoned subdivision. We back up to an AR zone subdivision. Not including those, there are 8 more AR zoned subdivisions further out from where this property is, further to the east. The only AR3 anywhere in the area are the big lots on the river that are in the back of Victoria Station. So we do meet the density for Country Estates. The other reason that we're asking for AR instead of an AR3 is because a 3-acre lot's hard to sell. And I think Mr. Underwood may mention that in a minute too as well, but you got different tiers of people that come to Oconee County. You've got the people who want to get in Oconee County because of the school system, whatever that is, that they're getting in for the lowest cost they can get in. And those are the people in the bigger subdivisions, the R1s that are smaller lots up to 1.5 acres now. Then you've got people that can afford a little bit more and they want 2-acre lots. So they've got a little bit more room. And then it jumps from there to people that want small farms and barns and that kind of stuff. And they usually want 5 to 10 acres or even larger. That 3-acre to 4-acre spot is tough to sell. It's tough to justify from a development standpoint as well. AR3, and I'll mention this, AR3 would allow for up to 16 lots on this property. We're proposing only 12 as a maximum. So we're well below what we could do under an AR3 zoning. We're wanting to do some lots that are sellable in the front and some large lots in the back. And I guess I'll also mention that we're not asking for something that hasn't been done before. I went back and looked at every rezone for the last 5 years. That's online, and there have been a few instances of ag zone property rezoned to AR that fell in Country Estates. There was one on Hog Mountain Road last year. There was one on Maxey Road last year. I personally rezoned one on Column Ferry Road in front of Bell Lake just a couple of years ago as well. So we're not asking for something that hasn't been done quite a bit. I do want to touch on the condition as Mr. Webb mentioned, there's some conditions proposed. We're fine with all of them except for condition number 4 is a little weird to me. As far as I could tell, this has never been a condition on any rezone that I've seen, at least not in the last 5 years. It's not a code requirement. And it's kind of unreasonable because it's a weird request. When you create a stormwater pond on a standalone lot, that dictates where lot lines have to go because stormwater ponds have to go where they have to go based on topography. Based on our plan for this project, our largest lots are in the back. That's also the downhill part of the property. Those lots come off a private drive. They don't have any road frontage. So you couldn't even do a stormwater pond in the back of this property based on that condition. So I would ask that you guys recommend approval of this to an AR, and I would ask that condition number 4 be struck from this. And I'm here to answer any questions, and I want to introduce y'all to Blake Underwood, who is the property owner. We'll say a few words.
Thank you.
Hey, my name's Blake Underwood. I live at 160 Stanton Way, Athens, Georgia. So just want to give you a little bit of a vision of what I have for the community. You know, we're looking for a small friends and family style community. You know, as Frank mentioned, we do not want to maximize the density, which would be 16 to 24 lots, depending on which zoning this, you know, turns out to be. We're wanting to, and he already hit, you know, we're looking at an average of 4-acre lots with a maximum of just 12. He did a good job of hitting on the 2-acre lots as well, you know, just the demand. You know, I'm also in real estate. I own a real estate brokerage company and do development as well. So, you know, I am qualified to talk about, you know, what's the demand, you know, out there for, you know, lot sizes and that kind of thing. You know, we want to be, you know, just a little step up from your, you know, your kind of the minimum 1.5-acre lots. So we can have a little bit of variety out there with 2 acres to up to, you know, 7-acre lots, you know, in the back, and even larger. But just to give a little bit of the diversity there. Like he said, you know, once you get past the, you know, 2 acres, people really start jumping up to that next category of 5 and 10-acre lots. So our goal is to have lots starting out at the $250,000 price range. And then when you get to your 5-acre and larger lots, you know, those are going to be at the $500,000 plus price. Home prices for our vision here is going to be, you know, you're looking at building a $1.5 to $2 million property on any of these lots, no matter if it's the 2-acre or the, you know, larger ones in back. This is not a, you know, your typical development project for me. This is, you know, where my family wants to go and build our forever home, and be a part of the community. You know, I've got my oldest daughter is in the 10th grade and has been part of the Oconee County school system since the 2nd grade. So we've got a long track record, you know, in the community with the schools, with her and the, you know, recreational leagues and things like that. And we're excited about the opportunity to, you know, finally get to, you know, do this and build our forever home again and be a part of Oconee County. So obviously this community is going to have, you know, a homeowners association, the covenants and everything to, you know, protect the quality of life of, you know, anybody living out there. So yeah, I think that about sums it up for me. I'm here to answer any questions, you know, you guys have as well.
All right, thank you, Blake. All right, so on the sign up sheet, Jason Lawson, you were in there next. You'd like to?
Good evening, Jason Lawson, 1070 Porter Creek Drive, Watkinsville, Georgia. I live directly across the road on Barnett Shoals, or directly across Barnett Shoals Road. I like the concept that they have presented. I welcome the idea of this subdivision. I welcome the idea of 2-acre subdivision. My lot is 1.22 acres. I think over half of the lots in my neighborhood, which is roughly 16 lots, are less than 2 acres. So I'm in support of it, and, you know, I think most of my neighbors would be as well. If you have any questions, glad to answer them. Thanks.
All right, next up on the sign-up sheet was a Maggie Holdaway. I assume that's Owen?
I am.
Okay.
My name's Owen Holdaway. This is Maggie Holdaway, my wife. We live at 2021 South Barnett Shoals Road. Um, as a concept, I do support this community going in. I think it's key for me that they will make their personal residence in the back, so it's in their vested interest to have a nice community out front, well planned, and everything done well. As a general rule, I'm not a fan of any sort of development, but you cannot stop development, and this serves the community best, I believe. I've had the opportunity to meet Blake in the last year or so and developed a relationship with him, and he's a stand-up guy, and I believe he'll do what he said he's going to do with the place. Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna just call by the last name, Borders. He's laughing at me because, sorry about that.
It's spelled really funny, so I blame my parents for that. But
Anemic dyslexia, so I'll mispronounce it.
so I'm Alicia Borders, and I live at 1057 Ashford Road. So I'm a neighbor to the Underwood's future home site as well. We fully support, me and my husband are from Oconee, and we fully support what they have plans to do. I think it's going to be really great for the community. And I'm also a real estate agent, and I do think there is a need for 1 to 2 acre parcels on this side of town. And so we would love to welcome them to the community, and I know that they'll do really great things.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This time I'm gonna call by first name, Joe.
I'm Joe Ezernak. Once you see it spelled and here, it gets a little easier. My wife and I, we love the enclave that Barnett Shoals is. And so we appreciate your guys' work to kind of help us keep that environment what we have. My wife was a parapro at Collin Ferry for several years. She's now a teacher at Westminster, finance chair at the local church. What I'm trying to say is we're involved in our community. We love to serve our community. And when we found out that Blake is going to be a neighbor, we're very excited on how this is going to develop and that he wants to be a part of our community as well. I've known him for over 20 years. Me and my wife love his family. They're just good people and happy to welcome them to the neighborhood. So we're in full support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Answer. All right, that is everybody that got an opportunity to sign up. Is there anyone that wants to speak, having heard some of these other comments? All right, nobody's trying to get my attention, so I will close the public comment. I didn't hear anything that needs Mr. Pittman or Mr. Underwood to come back up just now. There's no one to speak in favor. I'll ask if there's anyone who wants to speak in opposition. Again, scanning the room, I don't see anybody trying to get my attention. I'll go ahead and close the public portion of this meeting, bring it up here to my colleagues and ask you guys to formulate your questions or get my attention, please. Jim?
David, if I may ask you to repeat, please, the reason that you prefer the AR 3-acre lots, could you go over that again, please?
Sure. Can we pull the presentation up? In the country estates section of the comprehensive plan passed in 2023, and I'm not sure which approvals Mr. Pittman was referring to. Essentially, it recommends that AR3 is the zone that's appropriate to country estates. And this was a plan that received overwhelming community support, multiple public hearings, multiple public input through surveys, as well as multiple meetings among this body, as well as the Board of Commissioners and planning staff. And that was the reason, the reasoning behind this was Barnett Shoals has limited traffic availability. There's no plans to four-lane that, so you don't want higher density subdivisions. Moving this to a AR3 recommended area keeps the density down. Now, we did not dispute the density calculations of what could be, but that is what the comprehensive plan states, and that's what the planning staff's recommendation is based on.
So in summary, it is because of this comprehensive plan that the county has adopted that the AR3 is recommended.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Okay, one more.
I was part of the planning plan, and we didn't have an AR3, so that's why a lot of these were AR in the past, because we didn't have that breakout. That's the other thing, that you compare apples to apples. There wasn't an AR3 in the past. Right, sorry.
And another question, do I understand that all of the residents, I mean, in this situation, a basement would be required, is that correct?
A basement?
Yes.
That is a question that would be dealt with at the planning stage of the house itself. There's no requirement for a basement,
Okay,
and the question whether it be a crawl space or a slab
yeah,
would be based upon pre-development grades.
okay, very well. And then one more question, the petitioner also objected to the water retention ponds. Do you have a response? to
Sure.
it?
The reason behind that is for a smaller subdivision like this, if the stormwater detention ponds are on an individual lot, then a homeowners association would essentially be enforcing covenants and maintenance on an individual lot, not owned by the homeowners association itself. The problem with that is if the homeowners association covenants are not continuously renewed over time, that could be a problem for both the county access to be able to maintain it in emergency situations and for perpetual maintenance of that stormwater pond. And we're also seeing that because if it's an easement on a individual private property, the homeowner thinks they have the right to fill it in, change it, regrade it as they see fit, which could completely damage the stormwater infrastructure. But the idea behind that is long-term sustainability of being able to maintain the stormwater ponds on a separate parcel.
Great. That's good. Thank you, sir.
I'll add, historically, we've allowed lakes that are community shared to be in somebody's backyard with no maintenance access, and it has presented problems, 20 years later. So that's where these new addendums are trying to address some of those sort of things. Whether this property needs to have all those individual lots for the stormwater is still, I'll leave it up to us to discuss.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
David, since petitioner won't be an AR2 and only had 12 lots, if the goal of AR3 is to have the best traffic, can't we just make a condition that he only has 12 lots? Less than he could approve?
That would be at the pleasure of this commission. We based our recommendation on the comprehensive plan, recommended AR3. As Mr. Hunt pointed out, AR3 didn't exist to a few years ago. And
I'm just saying, if we did 3, then he could do 16 lots, and he only wants 12. So the goal of 3 is to have less traffic on the road, or 12 accomplishes that, 16 does not. Looks like me.
It seems like we have a precedent where we have used density as the calculus, not just the acreage. So if he was limited to 12 lots and this plat was part of this approved plan, he couldn't go back and add lots, as I understand it. Is that correct?
that is
He had
correct.
to come back here, he had to come back to zone if he was on that lot.
That is correct.
If I may,
I think that's what I'm trying to get to.
But the comprehensive plan is has recommendations based on actual specific zones, not a density calculation. it has a discussion about the density, but then it comes and in each table, in each of the character areas has a specific zone and recommendation for recommended zones for those.
Yeah, I think it's actually the master plan type that we actually work out density and allow a little tighter density in favor of open spaces elsewhere, but it's sort of been done. All right, Matt, did you have anything else?
Oh. What subdivision in the county has a seven lots?
The new
I don't have that information with you. I can tell you that anything that's a smaller ones like the MPDs, and most of the larger subdivisions do set aside a separate stormwater pond. The concern here is with a smaller subdivision, what happens if one of the property owners suddenly decides to close off the access? Well, it becomes extremely difficult if it's not on a separate lot. Then you have to potentially go to court. You have to get a magistrate involved if they bar an access. Whereas if it's on a separate lot, it's a clear common ownership that the shared property owners maintain it. Like I said, there's no guarantee the property owners association will continue perpetually. Whereas the ownership of it would continue to somebody. When you write the covenants, you have to give a sign if the property owners association fails to renew, they would have somebody that would retain ownership of that, whether it's an active HOA or not.
Do we have a, do you or either Franklin have a count of how many, 1 acre lots in a mile of this public zone? You think, I mean, I would say there would be over 100.
I don't have a count. There are quite a few. I mean, even most of the AR subdivisions that are in that area are from back when AR allowed 1 acre lots. So I mean, they're a tremendous number in that area and very few. Like I said, the only AR3 in that whole corridor are the river lots that with the real steep topo that are and a bunch of floodplain, which is why those are 3 acre lots. But there's no other, all other AR3 in the county are either south of Bishop or in north High Shoals.
All right, Matt, I'm gonna let Jim get his,
Yeah.
when he get organized,
Again.
any more that you might have.
Okay.
Yes, I'm looking here at the zoning map and I see on adjacent properties here is ag. And so just as a matter of procedure, if we were to put this as AR when allowed 2 acre lots, would that then give a presumptive argument for the adjoining properties that they would also petition for AR2 rather than AR3?
Under the comprehensive plan, that whole corridor along Barnett Shoals is recommended to be country estates. That is a change from the 2003 plan.
Okay. Very well.
So planning staff would not support AR anywhere in those country estate areas.
Okay, very well.
As to precedent, that's more of a legal question.
Okay, very well. All right, thank you.
Did I give you enough time, Matt, to think of anything else?
I'm done.
Anybody else down that end? Go ahead, James.
Real quick, so the, proposed stormwater pond, it's like just two.
I mean, at this point, they're conceptual. It could be 2, could be 3 or 4. I mean, everything drains to a creek, so you've got to catch water in different places. This is a little bit different than some sites where everything drains to one low point. So you're gonna have to catch it a couple places along that western property line, which makes it difficult to have individual lots. Because if you got an individual lot, you're breaking up the other lots to even get to them. So, I mean, at this point, I think there are at least 2, could be 3.
I'm just wondering if there's a way, like the one is almost split in 2 lots here on the concept plan. The one that would be in question is on lot 7 there, where it's kind of in the middle, but you know, lots or something, could have some type of easement that.
Well, you would have an easement anyway. That's required. They'd always have an easement. The only ones that don't have easements are the ones that were platted 30 years ago. So we can't go through a final plat process without that pond having an easement around it and an access easement to a public road. So as far as maintenance goes, that doesn't change.
Is it an improvement of the old ways, but there were still usually some fences or other things that, develop over time, but, you guys mentioned covenants. This is something that could be written in the covenants too, that would,
Well, it is required to be written in the covenants and reviewed by the county attorney as we go through a final plat process. So the
Right.
county attorney reviews all that, makes sure that we've got easements in place for all that kind of stuff.
any future home buyer would understand that that stormwater pond is a part of the community and therefore has to stay intact and so forth as you guys start finishing out the development.
That's
So
right.
That's still an improvement over what we've
And
had
the
in
HOA
other.
still has to, even if the HOA goes away, the HOA, if it was on a standalone lot, the HOA would be the owner of that lot. You'd have the same issue there. Trying to make sure the HOA maintains it, whether it's an easement or on a lot, it's still HOA's, deal to maintain it.
Does that hit it for you there? Okay. Anybody else?
I've got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Kobe.
As far as the access, Southern County Road, cul-de-sacs, and the easement back
Mhm.
to the larger lots, I guess, the reason why, but what was the reason why to have the easements back?
So cost really, so you can have up to 5 lots off of a shared access drive in Oconee County. And so basically the cost to build a road is significantly more expensive than the cost to build a shared access drive. Now that access drive is still paved. It's not as wide, it's not as thick. You don't have curb and gutter, that kind of stuff. So it's a cost savings deal.
So would y'all be open to the whole road being private, or y'all want that private?
I mean, I'll let the owner speak to that. I mean, there's some benefits both ways. If it's private, they can gate it. If it's still the same standards, it's gotta be built to public standards, whether it's public or private. So typically, most people don't necessarily decide at this early of a point. I mean, we call it a public road, but they may decide they want to gate the thing at the end of the day, and then it has to be private. And with an access easement, public access easement, but sorry, I'm not really answering, but it's a little early to probably make that decision. I'd say they're open to it though. That's more for the HOA to maintain though, if it is private.
But it has insurance repercussions if they don't have a firefighting cul-de-sac size for it.
Yeah, you still gotta have the cul-de-sac and that kind of stuff. So it's, like I said, it's still to public standards.
Same as the same road.
Same road regardless. It's just about who owns it at the end of the day.
All right.
I have a
Go ahead, Chris.
Chris.
Pittman, could you help clarify more, what is the burden that the owner would see if it were our AR3 versus AR? I didn't quite get that part.
What would the
What is-
burden be?
What is the main issue, concern that you have?
Well,
with AR
there's a couple
in the current-
things.
In the current plan?
Yeah, so there are a couple things. Number one, it's like we mentioned, it's a tougher lot to sell because it's a higher price point, but it's not a high enough price point where people that want to have barns and that kind of stuff, they're looking for more than that. So it's a weird spot size wise. It's more expensive to develop because you're 1.5 times the amount of road to build per lot than a 2-acre lot. So, I mean, you're a time and a half the water main, you're a time and a half the road. So all that stuff, increases cost wise as well. You're also, the owner wants to have some larger lots in the back for that other group of people that want larger ones. Well, if you put a bunch of 3-acre ones in the front, all that gets pushed further back and the road gets longer, those lots get smaller, and they may end up having to have more density to cover the cost.
So lots 1 through 8 would have to be redrawn. 3 acres or bigger. say.
Yeah,
I'm just making sure we
Yeah.
all get that.
that's right.
It wasn't really clear in the.
That's right. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Or they get fewer lots.
Yeah.
Making that seem-
And they may have to try to get more lots to cover the added cost too. And we're trying to stay down to a 12-lot max.
Thank
All right. We get a better understanding of what I'm gonna start looking for a motion for. Any other questions? All right, so it's that time of the night that I start fishing for a motion.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that, may, and that is that we, recommend approval with the staff conditions as written.
Motion to approve as recommended by staff, and therefore, you're saying AR3,
Right.
and then the four, was it 5 conditions?
6, I think.
All right, so Jim has made a motion. Do I have a second? Right. So I have a first and a second motion to approve as staff recommends AR3 with the 5 conditions. And could I ask you to raise your right hand if you also want to vote to approve? Right, and then I assume those against, please. That means the motion has passed as staff recommends with an AR3. The new plat would have to be submitted, and this will go on up to the Board of Commissioners for final recommendation with an approval. All right, and with that, we have no other business, so now I'll look for an adjournment motion.
So moved.
All right, so Lisa got in there first, and who did I see down there? Colby, I'll give it to you. Colby and Lisa have first and second, and I'll go ahead and ask you to raise your right hand if you agree. Okay. All right, thank you. And we'll send this on up to the Board of Commissioners in a month's time.